if you don't use the skincare, you're not giving it a chance to work. One of the most difficult things when it comes to wanting to see results with skincare or with anything aesthetic really is that we want instant results. We live in TikTok worlds with instant gratification and like the 7-second goldfish brain and blah 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 blah. Essentially, it is true. Humans want a magic pill for everything, and we have a hard time creating new habits and new routines because it often means letting go of old habits or old routines that are really ingrained into our day-to-day actions or our neural pathways. But when it comes to skincare, patient adherence and actually using the products is one of the most important things. And whether it is trying to IPL off your body hair or really help with acne and using an acne medication regularly, it can be a struggle bus. And these are 5 easy tips that actually work, some of which have actually been studied and scientifically tested to help with habit formation, wrapped in a little pretty video that hopefully might help you understand your skincare routine better and stick to it if that's a little bit hard. Now, full stop disclaimer, I fully understand that there are reasons that maybe someone can't stick to routines as well. Someone who's maybe moving around all the time, someone who maybe has a psychological condition such as ADHD and has a really hard time with habit formation or for follow through with those routines. There can also be different disabilities that prevent someone from being able to stand at a sink or to have access to certain spaces like a bathroom. But in general, these are some tips to be more consistent with your skincare routine. And outside of those special cases, hopefully some things that can help. And actually use the comments box to find like a skincare routine pen pal or send this to a friend, because accountability is also huge. If you have someone who you can kind of check in with, might actually help if you do your skincare routine at the same time every day, or if you turn on a Cassandra Bankson video and do your skincare while you're watching, because we do try to post a new one every damn day. Speaking of, let's get to washing our faces. The first deals with people who just have a hard time washing their face at the sink. Maybe you associate the sink with washing your hands. Maybe you just have a difficult time because you're trying to do the Neutrogena girl Kristen Bell splashy splashy and your bathroom gets soaked, and then it's frustrating to clean up, and those extra steps lead you to skipping it or not wanting to do it. For people who do have different psychological conditions such as OCD, maybe you want to run the water a certain amount of times or open the cap a certain amount of times like I used to do, and Dr. Mamina and I have actually spoken about some of these things that kind of happen. And for certain people, that can be really cumbersome. So one thing that Dr. Shaw and Dr. Marwala and I were talking about is washing your face in the shower. And yes, when you think about it, you're in the shower. I don't know about you, but I always turn and learn my ingredient labels, or I'm sitting there looking at packages or like reading the back of products while I'm shampooing my hair with one hand. But if you have issues with that spatial awareness, if the sink stresses you out, or if that area becomes messy, put your cleanser in your shower and use this time to wash your face. It's really easy to wash not only your face, but your neck and your chest. You're not getting everything soaked. You don't have to stand there in front of the sink inside of your birthday suit, and it actually does work generally well. Now, there are some people who say they don't wash their face in the shower. I would love to do like a little poll. Maybe we could have like a pinned comment there, and you can comment one emoji if you shower and a different emoji if you wash your face always at the sink. Maybe even a third emoji if you tend to do both. But this is one thing that I've actually found to be really helpful in my own routine, and because we're attaching it to something else, such as showering, it tends to be easier to do. And this is actually my top tip when it comes to reapplying sunscreen. We know that sunscreen is so important because SPF is your BFF, but if you don't use it, it's not gonna work. And we know that we're supposed to be reapplying our sunscreen throughout the day, multiple times. That is difficult. I know. Even I have struggled with it, and I don't do it perfectly all the time. Now, full stop, like I just wanna sit here and congratulate you. I want to compliment you, because if you are wearing sunscreen, you are already doing way better than most of the population. So don't beat yourself up for not reapplying. But if you're interested in reapplying and you just forget to, or if you bring your sunscreen in like a pocket or in your car, but then you never take it out to reapply, I have a tip for you. So what I do is I attach it to my meal times. I took something that I do 3 times a day, eating breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and I reapply my sunscreen either before or after every single one of my meals. These meals are spaced out throughout the day during the times that I would normally be reapplying sunscreen to my face, and this allows me to actually have something that's already built into my routine, a keystone habit, and then I am attaching this sunscreen reapplication. And it started with I had to write SPF like on my forks and knives in my like little drawer, so that when I would actually go in there or go into the fridge to get something out of it, it would say SPF and it would remind me. But after a while, it just kind of became second nature. So I know that when I'm reaching for my Trader Joe's udon noodle spicy peanut salad and ghost pepper flakes, I am also reaching for my SPF. And please, if you eat the ghost pepper flakes like I do, apply the SPF first, not after the ghost pepper flakes. This idea of keystone habits actually comes from a book about habits. It actually comes from some research that have been done on human behavioral psychology and how habits are actually formed. And it is very difficult to start a new habit, but if you attach a new action to an action that you already do every day, it's easier to implement. The same idea comes into your brushing of your teeth or the other things you do in the morning. If you have a really hard time sticking to a skincare routine, what is something you do every single day when you wake up or before you go to bed? Do you brush your teeth? I sure hope so, but I understand that there are days that we might forget or not have access to a clean toothbrush when you're traveling. But anyways, I digress. I hope that we're all brushing our teeth and taking care of our oral hygiene, but if you have skincare right there next to your toothpaste, it's going to be a lot easier to remember. And while skincare is important because it is self-care and it is hygiene, we actually need to be able to do it. So I would say use the KISS method. No, don't make out with your reflection in the mirror, you sexy beast. Keep it simple, stupid. Pare down that skincare routine, and in the words of Derm Angelo, go for a skinimalism vibe. Take out the products that you don't need. The only products you really need are a good sunscreen and a good cleanser. I would personally recommend some sort of a treatment step like a serum or a moisturizer, but you could go without those. And if you find that it's just so hard to stick to a skincare routine, it might be that it's overwhelming or that there's too much. So keep it simple, pare it down to 2 or 3 things, and then you can add more gradually. But if you're not able to use those products in a way that is fast enough for you to do in the morning or when you're exhausted at night and trying to go to sleep, it's gonna be really hard to do. That actually brings us into the next tip, which is enjoyment. You need to find skincare that you enjoy. If you don't have a fragrance allergy, and if you are super sensitive to different smells and you just don't like the way fragrance-free skincare stinks, it is totally okay to look for a product with a mild fragrance that works for you. And if you are someone who is really sensorial, for me, I am a very sensorial person. I like things that either tingle on my face or that I can feel myself applying them or using them. I am going to use a cleanser or a face mask that bubbles up on my face and have more fun with that than just a regular run-of-the-mill cleanser. And I'm going to love a serum like that vitamin C that makes my face feel like it just walked into a sauna and is getting a hot flash over just a regular product. And you have to find those skincare products that you actually enjoy using, because that enjoyment is an integral part of appreciating the process and then being able to stick with it so that it can work for you. But let's say that you do have a more unique situation. Maybe you aren't walking into the bathroom to brush your teeth because you do it after meals, or maybe the bathroom that you have, you share, or you don't have access to one, or it just is cumbersome to, be watching YouTube videos from your bed, I see you, and then to have to get up out of bed and walk over to the sink to wash your face. And it sounds silly, but for some people, that's a huge issue. You literally have to take yourself up from doing something and start something new. And for people with ADD or ADHD, that can actually be very difficult to stop a task. And then for people who do have chronic pain or maybe aren't able to move as freely within their space, it can be really hard to get up out of bed to go wash your face if you had sat down hours earlier and just got comfortable. And so for people who do find that this can be an issue for them or have a hard time, going to the bathroom and washing their face before bed or when they wake up in the morning, consider having like a travel skincare pack at your bedside. Just the way you might have medications or an alarm clock, maybe you can have some skincare there. I personally do. I have my prescription strength acne treatments, my retinoids, as well as my sunscreen and some medications right by my bed. And on the days that I am absolutely exhausted, I still do not use a makeup wipe. No, I'm not that bad, but I do have these different things next to me so that I can really easily apply them. Or when I wake up in the morning and my alarm went off at 5:30 and I'm not supposed to be somewhere until 7:38 and I'm just laying there in bed but I'm too tired to do anything, it's a lot easier to reach over, grab your skincare and shove it on your face, that sunscreen that, helps with the sunlight that's coming through the window, rather than just lay there for 3 hours kind of tossing and turning trying to go back to sleep, and then finally getting up, brewing some coffee, realizing that you kind of over tossed and turned and you really are running late and you gotta go. So to solve all of that, having a travel bedside skincare routine is not a bad idea. And specifically for people who can't wash their face, I hate makeup wipes. They are bad for the environment. I believe that they are for emergency use only, like Caroline Hirons says. They're for fannies, festivals, and literally emergencies, and like those late nights where you get home too late, from the club and you don't have the energy to wash anything off your face. A makeup wipe will be better than nothing. But if you do have something by your bed like a micellar water or cotton sheets that are biodegradable, it's going to be better than nothing if this is a huge issue for you. And And knowing that it is for some people, I think it's important to call out. Speaking of waking up early in the morning to an alarm and not being able to get up out of bed, maybe applying your sunscreen while you are still tucked into the sheets and then getting going for your day, set alarms for your skincare, set alarms for your sunscreen reapplication. Sometimes it just takes a reminder, right? And having a friend that you can be accountable with or having an alarm that goes off can actually remind us, hey, it's time to do that one thing that I needed to do. And whenever you hear about goal setting or habit formation or routines, a lot of people say like have a buddy that you check in with or have someone who's doing this with you. Maybe we can all have like a social media skincare challenge, like a 28-day skincare challenge. You know how it takes our skin an average of 28 days to complete one cellular cycle where skin cells are created, sloughed off and up, where they excrete their intercellular matrices and get squished down into that little horny layer, because yes, it is technically called the horny layer. And then they get pushed up into the stratum corneum and they slough off and become dust on all of your furniture. Yeah, if you didn't know, that's how it works. That's how it works. But that takes on average 28 days. Maybe we could have a 28-day social media skincare challenge where we're almost crossing off X's on a calendar, seeing which days we are able to stick with our routine. And maybe you could find a pen pal or a friend in the comments, or we can have like, you know, little secret breakout groups and hold each other accountable, or just have little reminders to talk about our skincare routine, share what we're enjoying, and maybe make a new friend along the way. And although we're talking about skincare here, I do want to call out that a lot of these habits and some of the underlying principles really do span pretty much any new routine that you're trying to get into. So don't try everything at the same time. It's really hard to do a 180 and just completely revamp your schedule. But if you start with one thing at a time, such as a skincare routine, it's easier to start implementing other changes in the next month or the month after. A lot of these principles actually come from a book on habits that talks about, you know, these keystone habits. For example, when someone starts to work out, they generally start learning to eat better, right? They're not necessarily making those two separate goals, but they kind of go hand in hand. And maybe when someone starts brushing their teeth regularly and has skincare that they enjoy set up really nice in a simple way, they're able to actually apply it to their skin and see those benefits. And maybe they start getting into other routines, such as putting things back in drawers or tidying up certain spaces, etc. It can be a struggle, and I know that because I personally have lived with it and I have gone through it. And again, back to the beginning, we love skincare, but skincare doesn't work unless we use it. And patient adherence, like patients who come in for skincare advice, maybe even a dermatology clinic where a doctor is prescribing the medications, they take those medications home, but if they sit in a drawer, they're not going to work unless we put them on our faces. And sometimes it's not a willpower, it's not a motivation issue. You know what to do, you just don't have the environment set up to do that. And it's like, okay, how do we find that environment that works for us, this person, or my different abilities? And how do I make this work for me so I can get the benefits from these products and really have a say in how I'm conducting my life and achieving those goals that I do set for myself? So make sure that that like button is hit. Make sure that you have actually reached out to a friend in the comments. Let's get together a 28-day skincare challenge. I like this idea. If you're not on Instagram, come follow on Instagram. I'm going to be posting something. We also have a Cassandra approved Instagram with products that I really do like that I would actually recommend for a challenge like this. So find it there, because this challenge will have been conceived and birthed since then, and we are going to make this amazing. So reach out to a friend, make sure that you are staying hydrated, reapplying that SPF, maybe at meal times like I do, and I cannot wait to see you in the comments and the 28-day skincare challenge. Love you guys. Bye.